I'm Dave Wurzel, and you're watching PHTV4. This is Real Estate Today, what you need to know. And with me, I'm going to say guest, but really should be co-host or host, because he's going to give me the education here is Todd Probasco, who's the Vice President and Group Lead for Residential Mortgage Lending at Lakeside Bank, and also President of the Palos Area Chamber of Commerce. Todd, thank you for being here today.
Nice to see you, Dave.
It's good to see you again. On Real Estate Today, we talk about patterns and trends in the real estate market, and specifically local, obviously impacted by things at a bigger national level as well, I'm sure. But here we are, late fall, and I know that there's a couple topics I want to ask you to speak to. One is seasonal, what the market is like seasonally for real estate and mortgage rates, but also my personal question, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Mortgage, the Fed's lowered their rate twice now since you and I are sitting in here, and but mortgage rates have not gone down.
Right.
Not the 15 or 30-year rate compared to what we thought, And so obviously I did some reading. Can you kind of elaborate, like what are the levers or the things that impact to make that rate go down or go up?
Yeah, so when in the news, when the Fed announces they're lowering the prime rate, everyone thinks that means interest rates are going down on a mortgage. What it does affect is when banks borrow between each other, credit cards, home equity loans. But
are car loans in that too, or no?
That
maybe
probably not.
okay.
Not directly. But the 15 and 30-year mortgages in the U.S. for residential real estate is tied to the 10-year Treasury bond.
Okay.
So that bond is tied to economic news, and it's very volatile. So when the market's doing well, the bonds are going to go up in price, so do interest rates. When there's bad news in the economy, bad news in the market, the bonds start coming down, and so do long-term interest rates. Unfortunately, when you hear in the news the Fed's lowering the prime rate, actually what could happen, which it has the last 2 weeks, is the market can rally.
Right.
Because the investors in the market think things are going to be better. That the stock market rallies, the bonds rally, and interest rates go up.
Okay.
Which is, I know that sounds crazy, but that's how it works.
No, that makes sense to me, except then I'm cheering for the stock market to go up. I mean, the other day we were the Dow was over 43,000.
Yeah, all-time high.
Right, so, but
1,300 points in a day.
But that's not necessarily good news for the mortgage rate.
I was watching that, and I was watching interest rates go up all day long.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it begs the question then, when we had that long period of low interest rates, the market was going up, but much slower at that time?
Well, the market took a crash during COVID.
Right.
Right, because we thought the world was shutting down.
Yeah.
Trade was stopping. People were not working.
Okay.
So the market kept doing this. Well, so did interest rates. They followed right behind it.
Okay.
And we got to historic lows, as you know. People got 2.6, 2.7 on a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
But as we came out of COVID and we got back to things stabilizing and being normal, things picked up, and so did interest rates. And then back in September, we had great numbers on inflation. That inflation was cooling down. The market was stabilizing from this rally coming out of COVID. Well, we went from 7% to we got under 6%.
Okay.
Well, guess what? In the last month, we've given that all back, and now 30-year mortgages are 6.8, 6.9%.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So I have two questions. Well, one big one here, I guess. But if I want to get a gauge for the mortgage rates, I need to start looking at the bond market. Ignore the Fed rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Second one related, and maybe I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot, make a prediction. But before I get to that one, how is this stuff impacting the real estate market in general right now in our area?
Yeah. Well, when we dropped back in September, we saw a rally. I don't know if 6 is the magic number right now to the market. It's a market, right?
Right.
Buy and sell. When are people going to be motivated? When we dropped under 6, there was a rally of people putting their house on the market, people buying and applying for a mortgage.
Right.
Since the rise in rates, things have cooled off on new activity. Those people who did transactions back in September, they're closing now because it takes 30, 45 days for that transaction to go through. I'm hoping that we see a cool off, and the market, I think, needs a little bit of a correction. I think it's at an all-time high.
Right.
So if inflation cools and the market has a little bit of an adjustment to get back to a normal level, we'll see rates come down.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot then. I know.
So when I come back in the spring, we'll see if I was right.
Well,
Don't play this when I'm doing the interview in the
So
spring.
you said what you hope. Are you ready to make the prediction of where the
Yeah, I
market's going to
think
go?
that's what I think is going to happen. I think inflation will continue to cool, contrary to what's in the media right now. Unemployment numbers, those are sometimes fictitious because the Fed will announce employment numbers, but they don't tell you what jobs are being filled.
Right.
Are those people who can apply for a mortgage and buy a house?
Right.
Or
Or
are
the
they adding
minimum
100,000 jobs of people making minimum wage?
Right,
They
right.
don't dictate what people make. And I think the new administration is going to do everything they can to try to stimulate activity in the market, including real estate. And I think that'll play good for our industry
Okay. All right.
and the American people.
All right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed on the mortgage
Yeah.
rate in the process.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. The second thing I wanted to ask about was, I kind of alluded to it earlier, is the winter market thing. Or I know in the old days, maybe it is the old days, I'm not sure how the world is looked at now, that, real estate, that was like a spring, summer thing. That's when the house was put up for sale, you moved out, so that by the fall and winter you were into a new thing, right? I'm assuming that's not true anymore. I don't really know. So I guess I have two questions. One is, what is a fall-winter market like in real estate? And what are things buyers or sellers should be mindful of if they're in that phase?
Yeah. When, years ago, spring and summer was the market because people had the mindset to sell and get in before school started so that the family was placed and the kids were in their school.
Right.
As an educator that families don't like to move during the school year. Well, guess what? That got thrown out the window. There is no spring, summer market anymore. The real estate market is 12 months a year. We've had people move the week of Thanksgiving and the week of Christmas. If the deal's right for both sides, they're going to do it. Do I see a push in the spring of new inventory and people thinking about doing it? Yes, for sure. You still see that. But does that mean that in the fall and winter, people don't put their house in the market and move? Absolutely not. We have transactions going on all year. The busiest months of the year in Chicago for real estate, I would say probably are April, May, and June. July cools off. It's vacation time, 4th of July. August is a push to get back in before school. And then once school starts, we run all the way to Thanksgiving.
Really?
We cool off a little bit during Christmas, and then January 1st. And then there's also, they call it the spring season now. We've never talked about this. The new spring season for real estate is the day after the Super Bowl.
Really?
Don't ask me why. That started a
So
couple
like
years ago.
mid-February is the new spring kickoff.
I guess people don't want to move because the big game's on, and then the day after, boom, here we go. So that's a joke.
Super
in
Bowl
real-
parties are over.
Yeah,
It's time
yeah.
to make a move.
Yeah, so the day after Super Bowl starts the spring market now.
Okay. So with that in mind then, if somebody's looking at putting their market on, putting their home on the market or looking to buy, what advice would you give them right now heading into?
Yeah, if you're in the market to move and sell, I think now is a good time because there's limited inventory. So when there's limited inventory, prices go up, and the seller gets to dictate.
Yeah.
They have a little bit more pieces on their side of the chessboard, is what I call it. If I was to sell, prices are probably at an all-time high, limited inventory, and there's more buyers than sellers.
All right, so it's definitely a seller's
The
market.
only flip
right?
side is if you sell something, you usually got to buy something.
Right, where are you going?
Where you going? But I always tell people you're going to make out on the sale, then maybe you take it on the chin a little bit on the buy, but
Yeah.
it kind of evens out.
And is that true in our area, the Palos area?
Well, actually, it's even more.
More true here.
More true. There's way more buyers for Palos than there are sellers.
Okay.
Several reasons. Location, amenities, and the school districts drive a lot of people here.
All right. The only other question I want to ask is, and do you have any other advice for somebody stepping into this market? Because I hadn't thought about the mortgage rates connected potentially to a volatile market, connected to the bond market, and then the idea that this isn't seasonal anymore. So any other advice or tips for somebody looking to buy or
there's
sell right now?
There's a couple things. A lot of people are sitting on a lot of equity. It's sitting in their walls doing nothing. If values are at an all-time high and your house is worth a lot more than it was 3-4 years ago, from a financial standpoint, what are you doing with that money? There's opportunities to tap into that. You can do a home equity loan, and then go invest it or buy other real estate or improve what you currently own. There's some people who have equity on a house that needs a lot of work, but if you're thinking that you're not going to be in the house more than 5 years, why not put a little money back into your property, fix up some things,
Right.
use that equity to your advantage, and then when you go to sell, you're going to be able to dictate a higher price.
Okay.
That's a strategy right now.
All right. Well, it's good financial advice. It makes sense,
Yeah.
especially with an inflated, value
Yeah,
right now.
because it's sitting in the walls really doing nothing right now.
Right, right. Okay. Anything else? Are we good? Am I ready to buy or sell in
Yeah,
the end of
if you're
2024
ready
here?
to buy or sell, I think, jump in the pool, the water's warm, and
All right.
there's always an opportunity in real estate. There's several great people in the area. I love the market here. I love doing business here, and, between Palos Heights, Palos Park, and the surrounding areas, it's a great area to
It
live
is.
and work, and that helps drive real estate. And, the elementary schools just won again another Blue Ribbon Award for 118. It's like every time you turn around, there's more good news about
Yeah.
Palos. You guys do a great job covering it, and
Thank you.
I think that there's a big desire to want to live in Palos.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of young people move into Palos.
I've noticed it on the streets. There's
I
more
heard-
families and kids out
I
walking
heard
around.
118 is like it, almost to like when we went through it. I was the generation where Palos just boomed and 118 was busting at the seams. I heard they're back to that now.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked down the street on Halloween, the amount of kids trick or treating.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, mom and dad might have sold, but here comes young people with kids, which is great for the area.
Right, right.
So,
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you've hit on some key topics here. I want to thank you for that because I think there is really good advice there. People should consider their value, what they can do with their home right now, and yeah, it's a year-round market.
yeah, and
for
if you
folks.
live here and you value the Palos area, I have to do my plug right now for the chamber.
Sure.
You need to shop local. Support the local businesses. They're part of the community. They help pay our bills. I know it's real easy to go online and order something, but
Yeah.
you got a lot of people that own a business here in town that's their livelihood.
And there
Support them.
And there are a lot of good shops and restaurants and stores in our area. Yeah, I would agree with you. You don't have to step too far outside Palos Heights
No.
for some odd specialty
No.
item. You can find it here in most cases.
I was at a meeting a couple months ago. This is an interesting point, great for your station. I had a person walk up to me and say, "Hey, I know you're the president of the chamber." And I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "I think you guys do a great job." And I go, "Well, thanks." And he says, "Me and my wife have a rule." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, we need to buy something. We go online and price it. Let's just say it's a tool. And then he goes, "I'll go to the local Ace Hardware in Palos, and as long as it doesn't cost 20% more than what I saw online, I'm going to give the business to the local merchant." I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And guess what? That helps real estate. That helps the economy. And I think we all need to be thinking about that on a regular basis.
Philosophically, I'm the same way. I'll check the price online, and then I look for it local then. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Great real estate insight and advice, and shop local, folks.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you for being here, Todd.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Worzel. You've been watching Real Estate Today, What You Need to Know, and our special guest has been Todd Probasco. Thank you for watching.